Hello students! One of the things to cover this week is your study guide. So let's take a few minutes to go over the study guide. As a reminder, the exam is open this weekend, so double check the times on Canvas and in your syllabus. Remember, it is open note, it is open book, it is not open neighbor. So you can take that exam at any time during the time that it is open. Just make sure you're in a place with good internet connection. Also be sure that you don't close out of the exam window because that will count as your take of the exam. So let's go over the study guide. Again, the exam covers the chapters we've covered since the last exam, so lifespan development, social psychology, personality, and emotion and motivation. So just like all the other exams, these questions at the beginning are basically review. Just remember to review the material that we've covered in class. Since we did spend more time on lifespan development, we did spend more time on social psychology. There are more questions on those, 16 or 18 questions on each of those. There are only about 10 or 12 questions on personality, and then 12 or 14, maybe 15 on emotion motivation. Total, the exam is 55 questions, so just slightly longer than the previous exams that were 50 questions each, so just a tiny bit longer. So with this, let's go over some of these main points. So distinguishing between developmental research designs that investigate change over time. So development is, again, change over time. We talked about two specific types of designs of research that are specific to developmental psychology. So these are longitudinal studies and cross-sectional studies. So do review those. I review the parenting styles in the text and think of 2 examples of each style. So this was something that is in your text. It is also in the slides, even though we did not have time to cover it in class. We focused more on attachment in class rather than parenting styles, but that is in your text, so do review those. There are some questions there. And then neurodevelopment through the lifespan. We focused mostly on both prenatal development of the brain up to about age 2, and then we also focused a lot on adolescent development in the brain. So if you don't remember any specific facts around those times or what the brain is doing into late adulthood, review your notes, review the slides to remind yourself what's happening with the brain throughout the lifespan. But again, prenatal, adolescence, late adulthood, those are the main times we talked about. All right, so jumping ahead to social psychology. Oh, and as a reminder, this isn't an exhaustive list. Review everything that we talked about. There's not, other than the parenting styles, there's not a lot that we didn't hit on in class that's in the exam, but there are some things that you will definitely need to go to the book to review as well. So check your notes, review those. For all the exams, I recommend reviewing your notes. Then after reviewing your notes, review the slides. If there are still things that you, after reviewing those, that you feel like you don't remember, then review things in the book. All right, social psych. So we talked about some experiments like Milgram and Ash's studies. So Ash conformity study, Milgram's obedience study. So in those studies, especially the ones that might have been unethical, what were the researchers actually trying to understand? So your book dives into this as well. And then stereotypes. We had a really good video, Rattlers versus Eagles, in that camp, and we used it to discuss some of the research on how to combat prejudice and discrimination with social psychology. So all in all, a lot of the social psych points, we kind of flipped them on their head. A lot of the studies started from looking at negative behaviors that humans have done over the past, and then showing that, yeah, you can use those same kind of social pressures to encourage positive or even pro-social behavior. So review those as well. We also talked a lot about attitudes. We talked about the theory of planned behavior a lot. So those are maybe some things that I should have added to this social psych list. It's quite short, but there you go. So theory of planned behavior, attitudes, those kinds of things. All right, personality. We talked a lot about trait theory in personality, but we also talked about the humanistic approach to personality. We talked about Maslow. We also talked about Maslow in motivation theory. So review humanistic psych approach to personality, and then definitely review trait theory. Review a few of the main points that we made within trait theory. Definitely review the big 5. We did talk about the Hexaco model as well, which is relevant to a lot of these points, but I don't believe there are any specific Hexaco model questions on the exam. All right, so personality is a little bit shorter than the other chapters. So again, lifespan and social are some of the biggest chapters. Then emotion motivation, review the motivation theories we discussed. We talked about a lot of them, some of them briefly: evolution, drive reduction theory, self-determination theory. So there's quite a few questions on self-determination theory. It's one that we've spent a little more time on. And also review the multiple emotion theories we discussed in class. We watched that funny video with the superheroes and talked about the different types of emotion theories. So what goes into emotion: the feeling or sensation, the cognitive appraisal, the bodily arousal of the emotion, those kinds of things. So review those in emotion and motivation. So again, review those chapters. Again, there's the most on lifespan and social. There's a little less on personality, and there's a little more than personality, but less than social and lifespan on emotion and motivation. All right, so let's look at some of these multiple choice questions. I will kind of be Dora the Explorer right here. I will read out the question, then I will pause for you to read the answers. Probably you should just pause the video when I do that, because I'm not going to pause long enough for you to read everything. But answer the question, and then I will let you know after you go through those answers, what the correct answer was. So, but do use this as a study tool. Try to do this on your own beforehand. Maybe pause the video right now, and just pause the video right now. Do those questions. There's only 4 of them here, basically 1 from each chapter, and then I will let you know the answers. So with that, hopefully you've gone and you've done those answers. I'm not going to read these out since hopefully you've just read them and read all the answer responses. So Jack here is making an internal attribution, and John is making an, I think I messed that up. Yep, I was right. So Jack believes the girlfriend broke up with him because she was selfish and unhappy, so an internal attribution about the girlfriend. John is making an external attribution. The family emergency is external, it's an outside cause. So internal attribution for Jack, external attribution for John. So again, review those if you don't remember them. So this is de-individuation. Depending on the general class you are in, one of my classes we talked more about this than the other, but it is in your book, so definitely review that. So reducing personal identity and feeling less personally responsible and more as part of the group. You're de-individualizing. You are spreading yourself in with the group. So this one is a little bit of a tricky one. So it's pretty clearly not extroversion, it's pretty clearly not neuroticism. So it's either openness or agreeableness. I'm going to... Sorry, I thought for a second that I had deleted this question, but there was another question with... there were quite a few Big Five questions that I intended to put in there, but I deleted a couple of them. But this one did stay in there, so this one is in the exam. So definitely not extroversion, definitely not neuroticism. So is it openness or agreeableness? It is C, agreeableness. So openness would be something more like trying out new things versus altruistic. It can be a little correlated with openness, but it's more correlated with agreeableness, and then being higher in religiosity generally is higher correlated with agreeableness than openness. So it's a little one of the harder ones on the Big Five, but there you go. According to self-determination theory, well, I said I wasn't going to read them, and now I'm reading them. So according to self-determination theory, what are the 3 basic organismic needs? And so hopefully This was one of the most recent classes, so it is pretty clearly C, competence, autonomy, and relatedness. So relatedness to other people, autonomy, being able to make choices for ourselves, and competence, seeing ourselves get better and better at different things. So self-efficacy is related to that as well. All right, so those are the answers on the study guide, and a reminder to review those pieces up here. Definitely start with reviewing your notes, then review your slides. If you still feel like there are things that you don't remember as you skim through the book, review those sections in the book. As a reminder, the exam is 80 minutes long. You've got 55 questions, so make sure you take it in a good place where you have good internet connection, and good luck. I'm sure you'll do great.